How do you look at the season?
I mean, you're always disappointed. You know, as I told you guys afterwards, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, there's one winner at the end of the day, and so you know, you're always trying to figure out how do we get better in terms of moving forward, and you know, you look back on a season like we have to, and we just got to, I think, number one, as a group, have a better focus of what 82 games means. You know, we had the start, you know, the start that we had to the season, and you're going to have ups and downs, but you know, you know, waste is a wrong word. You know, we didn't waste the start. I mean, the start was good, but I don't know, you know, if we as a group, and I got to do a better job of it, number one, of the focus of what 82 games means and where you finish in that thing can be the little thing that gets you over the hump. You know, you look at the game last night. Does Houston win that series if they don't have home court advantage? I mean, that's a legitimate question, and it's the, you know, that little thing where you know, does finishing third rather than fifth push you over the hump? And so to do that, you got to have a better focus for 82 games, and it's a long season, and I've got to do a better job of that, as well as I want our players to do a better job of that. And there's different segments that I really feel, even when I was a player, as well as I am now as a coach, that you can really take advantage of things. You know, with, you know, the dog days are now kind of coincide with the All-Star break, and so now it's a week-long All-Star break, and that group of games before the All-Star break and after the All-Star break, you can take advantage of. We were taken advantage of in that instance. So it's little things like that that we got to do a better job of focusing, that maybe puts you in a better position. But, you know, listen, you know, there's a lot of things that they should be proud of, and what they have accomplished, you know, from the most wins in a long time to, again, playing the way that they did in the playoffs. As I told them, you know, they've proven that they can play in the playoffs. Now we've got to put ourselves in a position that takes advantage of that. And, you know, to do what these guys have done over the last 2 years, winning games on the road, what if you had home court, just think what maybe would you know, carry you.
In terms of the team that we saw to end the season, playing more small lineups, whatnot, is this going to be?
Yeah, I mean,
you're not giving.
I can't sit here and say, you know, obviously until you, you know, get through draft and free agency and that, but obviously playing small is successful for us. Playing faster. Those are the things that I want to try to improve this team moving forward with, being able to play smaller, being able to play faster. And I think that was, you know, this team proved that in the playoffs, because we played smaller than we were able to. Now, you know, I've got to be, you know, we've got to be able to have the pieces to do that in the regular season. And so, you know, those are areas you'd like to, you know, to maybe try to get better at.
Do you have to get younger as well? Do you see that as an issue at all?
You know, we're going to get a young kid at 19. You know, it's not you know, you don't look at it, yeah, this is, we have to. I mean, we got to look at it of improving our team. We got to look to get better. You know, that's the focus. Does it mean it has to be younger? We had a young kid that came out and played a lot this year in Otto. We got Brad and John. You're gonna have a 19th pick. You're gonna, now I think you just got to do what's right for your team, and whether that's another young guy or not isn't that important.
For another year, you guys finished in the top 10 in defense. I remember in training camp, you and I talked about maybe getting into that top 5. What do you think it's going to take?
Consistency, again. The ability to sustain. It's just like what I've talked about in the regular season. We had, obviously to finish in the top 10 again, you have to be, you're doing some right things, but we had periods that defense kind of left us, and so it's again the concentration of for 82 games of being more consistent there. That's the difference between being in the top 5 and in the top 10. I think these guys have an understanding of how we're playing defensively works, and we just got to continue as coaches and as players to put, that's the main thing, to put these guys in the best position, whether it's offensively or defensively, that their talents possess, and I'm a firm believer of that.
For you personally, what has the last 48 hours been like for you, considering everything that you and your staff have put into this year?
It just sucks. That's the one thing I hate about this job is, you're basically from September after Labor Day to when it just stops abruptly. You're going 7 days a week basically for however long that is. Saturday was like for me was like I was in a fog. I didn't know what to do with myself. I couldn't pull myself yet to look at the film. So that's the hard thing, because it just stops. It's like you just ran into a wall, and it's over. And it makes you upset watching the other team still play.
What is the defensive potential of Brad and Otto, maybe playing together, being able to switch on things?
Yeah, it gives you a lot of flexibility. I mean, obviously Otto's length is important. I think we've seen Brad and John. John over the last year has grown. Now he's got to continue to grow. There's certain areas that I'm going to ask him to really focus in on. We really pushed John from an on-the-ball standpoint. Now, off the ball has to be better. Brad, I think we've seen make that next step through the Atlanta series. To be, it's one thing to be able to do it, but then when you're asking him to do something at the offensive end too, you don't know, am I burning him at one end? Is it costing us at the other? And I think he proved that wasn't the case of chasing and defending a guy like Corver, a guy like in the Toronto series, DeRozan, and still be able to put numbers up at the other end. So that's a great luxury. That was important to see. And then obviously we've talked about Otto and the different areas that he can do there. So yeah, it gives you some versatility from a defensive standpoint.
Randy, what's the healing process for John now? Does he need
surgery? Yeah, I think he's going to see a specialist. I think at the Cleveland Clinic here this week, I'm sure, and formulate what needs to be done. If anything, it might just, if everything, I don't think he's gotten another CAT scan since the last game, but it looked like everything went fine through the last game, and nothing, if nothing else he might be able to just let it heal on its own. So that's going to be decided, coming up here.
Ray, did you get a sense that Nene, towards the end, just kind of the injuries, plantar fasciitis, and that was the injuries, like his plantar fasciitis?
I don't think so. No, I mean, injury is part of the game. You got to learn to play through that. Anyway, let me tell you what. There wasn't anybody on Atlanta's team probably feeling real good either. I don't ever, I don't want. We're not going to use John's hand as an excuse. We're not going to use any plantar fasciitis as an excuse. We've got to, that's part of this game, and I still feel strongly that we had an opportunity there to still win that series through all that, and that's how you got to think of it, because you get into May. I don't feel very good. I know they don't. That's part of being able to learn how to push through and win a series like that.
Randy Marsh said that he had some personal issues that kind of screwed him up in the middle of the season. Did you notice that, and did you try to navigate that?
Oh yeah, that's part of this job. There's ups and downs. There's things that go on in our lives just like they do in your lives. Whether it's a family situation or whatever it is. That's life. And yeah, you gotta try to deal with it. And that happens. That's part of a long season. And you gotta navigate through this.
We've asked you in different ways, why did Otto step up his game in the playoffs? Rather than just ask that again, what does it say about a young player that in the playoffs probably played his best basketball of the season?
Well, I thought coming down the stretch he was playing good. I told you guys last year at this time, if I had to put him in the Indiana series, I felt great confidence, that what he, improved. He's a guy that works at it. And I think that's probably the number one thing why you've seen him continue to have a second. If he just stays with an aggressive mentality, then he can. The sky's the limit for him, right? But he can't be a guy that's just out there, and that was the biggest difference in Otto. I thought he took advantage of that and learned how to play without, I think, worrying about stepping on anybody's toes. And that was a big lift for him and for our team, and moving forward to have a young guy like that.
Is Chris Harper someone who can maybe come into that stretch 4 role?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see. Obviously, there's areas that all our guys got to, learn to add to their games and moving forward. So he being one of those guys in that area. So we'll continue to work with that throughout the summer with him and see what happens.
Is this going to mean, if you go to smaller lineups, Humphrey's doing a stretch 4, does this mean lesser role for Nate?
No, absolutely not. I mean, he's still going to be, a part of that. I think as we saw, down the stretch. I mean, he's, played some 5. He and March in that situation. I think a combination of those two playing that position doesn't make it a lesser role. It's just, I think we got to look what's best for who we have. You guys hear me say that all the time. You got to put these guys in the best position to have success, and obviously with what John does in the pace of play, we got to play fast. You can't be a walk-it-up team, a grinded-out team. In terms of he and Brad and now, I mean, you mentioned Otto, guys that can get out into the floor and space the floor.
Even though you guys ended the season same place you did last year, do you feel like the team took the progression that you hoped to see?
No, I think we could have done better. Like I said, I mean, you're disappointed obviously every time, but we were closer, I think. We were closer. I feel like we were closer than we were last year. But you're disappointed. even playing the #1 seed again. I just felt we had an opportunity here again that was closer than it was last year.
Randy, are you hoping for a swift decision from Paul so you guys can kind of figure out
He's got to make that up his mind. A swift decision doesn't make, we're not playing tomorrow. So, he's got to do what's right and his mind and moving forward. But swift doesn't matter.
Are you in the recruiting business? Trying to convince him
I don't
to-
need to recruit Paul. I think what Paul saw here and what he did here, not only with the team but the city, all that plays into it. I think his family was comfortable here. Will I sit down and talk with him? Yeah, but I don't think we need to recruit.
Do you have any plans for the summer that don't have anything to do with basketball? Allow yourself to get
Not
away a
yet.
little bit?
Ask him what's the last movie he saw.
Yeah, my wife's going to want to go to the movies. No, not yet. Until this season's over for everybody, I think you still sit there and you ponder and you still try to look at that. But I didn't know what to do with myself the last 2 days. That's for sure. So it's good to get back in here.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it.